Hello friends, this expedition is brought to you by USA Coins History. In the winter era of a fragile republic, silver waited to be given a face. Not just metal, not just weight, but authority. In 1794, the United States was still negotiating its own existence, and it did so not only with treaties and militias, but with objects small enough to fit inside a clenched fist. Among them emerged a coin that carried more than commerce. The flowing hair silver dollar entered the world as a declaration, its surfaces pressed with intention, anxiety, and the unresolved question of whether the American experiment could survive long enough to need its own money. The nation that conceived it was barely standing. The Constitution was new, contested, and fragile. The scars of war were still visible in dead ledgers and empty treasuries. The Articles of Confederation had failed to create fiscal unity, leaving states to issue their own currencies, their own standards, and their own chaos. Merchants weighed foreign coins by habit. Spanish-milled dollars passed hand to hand more confidently than anything minted on American soil. Power, at that moment, was not centralized. It was fragmented. And the lack of a national coinage made that fragmentation visible every time a transaction stalled. Alexander Hamilton understood this vulnerability. As the first Secretary of the Treasury, he recognized that sovereignty without financial credibility was performative at best. A nation that could not standardize its money could not command trust, domestically or abroad. His reports to Congress were not abstract theory. They were warnings. Without a federal mint producing reliable coinage, the United States would remain economically dependent, its legitimacy undercut by every foreign coin that filled its pockets. Congress responded slowly and with caution. The Coinage Act of 1792 authorized the creation of the United States Mint in Philadelphia, the temporary capital and intellectual center of federal power. This decision carried risk. Coinage was not neutral. It required decisions about standards, designs, denominations, and symbolism. Each choice risked alienating factions already suspicious of centralized authority. Yet delay carried its own cost. Without action, the Republic bled credibility. The first mint building was modest, almost apologetic. Its machinery was primitive by European standards. Its staff was inexperienced. Its mandate, however, was unforgiving. Every coin struck would be judged, not only for accuracy, but for meaning. When the time came to consider a silver dollar, the stakes escalated. This would not be a minor denomination. This would be the unit by which others were measured. If it failed, the failure would be national. The flowing hair design was born from that pressure. Liberty was chosen as the central figure, but not as a classical goddess or distant allegory. She appeared youthful, human, her hair loose and unrestrained. This was not an accident. The image rejected monarchy and rigidity. It suggested motion, possibility, and vulnerability. On the reverse, an eagle stood within a wreath, less imperial than aspirational. It did not dominate the field. It occupied it cautiously, as if still earning its place. These choices reflected the internal debates of the era. Some wanted strength projected immediately, symbols that demanded respect. Others feared that such imagery mimicked the empires the revolution had rejected. The flowing hair dollar split that tension. It did not roar. It breathed. The technical challenges were severe. The mint lacked sufficient domestic silver. To produce the first dollars, silver had to be deposited by private citizens, often in the form of foreign coins or bullion. This dependency complicated schedules and quantities. Every strike was precious. Every planchette was inspected, weighed, and adjusted by hand. The presses were screw-operated, requiring physical force and precision that left little margin for error. Chief coiner Henry Voigt and engraver Robert Scott worked under scrutiny. Mistakes were not merely personal failures. They were political liabilities. The weight standard for the silver dollar was set at 416 grains, aligning closely with the Spanish dollar to ensure acceptance in commerce. Deviate too far, and trust would erode before it could be built. In October of 1794, the first flowing hair silver dollars were struck. The number was small, estimated at just 1,758 pieces. Even then, not all were released into circulation. Some were rejected for striking weakness. Others were likely set aside as presentation pieces or retained by officials who understood their symbolic value. The coin entered the world quietly, without ceremony, but its implications rippled outward. Reception was cautious. Merchants examined the coins carefully. Weight mattered more than appearance, but appearance still spoke. The flowing hair dollar did not immediately displace foreign coinage. It competed with it. In some cases, it was discounted. In others, it was accepted as equivalent. Trust, Hamilton knew, was not commanded. It was accumulated. The fragility of the operation became evident quickly. The silver dollar was expensive to produce and difficult to distribute. Losses were incurred. The mint faced criticism from Congress and the press. Questions arose about efficiency, competence, and necessity. The very act meant to unify the economy exposed its fractures. Yet the coin persisted. It moved from hand to hand, from ledger to ledger, carrying with it the quiet assertion that the United States intended to remain. It was imperfect. Its strikes varied, its dies wore quickly. But it existed, and existence mattered. Within a year, the design would be replaced. The flowing hair motif gave way to the draped bust, reflecting changing tastes and political sensibilities. The $1,794 would become a singular artifact, a first attempt, never to be repeated. At the time, this transition was not seen as historic. It was administrative. Progress demanded refinement. What could not be refined away, however, was the coin's origin story. Born in uncertainty, struck under pressure, and released into a skeptical market, the flowing hair silver dollar embodied the early republic's condition. It was a test, not a triumph. A question posed in silver: could this nation define itself with its own hands? The answer would not come immediately. It would be measured over decades, through survival, expansion, and conflict. But in 1794, as those first dollars left the mint, the question was no longer theoretical. It was tangible, heavy, and waiting to be judged. The flowing hair silver dollar did not move through the young republic unnoticed. Its very existence forced confrontation. Once silver bore the federal stamp, abstract arguments about centralized authority became tangible, and critics no longer debated theory but weight, purity, and trust. Every dollar that entered circulation carried with it the unresolved struggle between federal ambition and local suspicion. Inside the treasury, unease grew. The mint was consuming resources at a pace that alarmed Congress. Silver deposits arrived irregularly. Machinery failed. Skilled labor was scarce. Each delay magnified scrutiny, and each flawed strike was interpreted as evidence that the federal government was reaching beyond its competence. Hamilton's vision demanded patience, but patience was in short supply. Opposition crystallized around cost and control. Southern agrarians questioned why farmers should care about a silver dollar when barter and foreign coins had sustained them for years. State leaders resented the symbolism of a national coin that implied submission to federal standards. Newspapers amplified every inefficiency, framing the mint as a costly experiment imposed by elites who lived far from the realities of local trade. The flowing hair dollar became an unwilling participant in this dispute. Its uneven strikes were no longer just technical imperfections. They were political ammunition. Some coins showed weak hair detail. Others revealed shallow eagles. Variability, inevitable in a hand-powered operation, was interpreted as ink. Trust eroded faster than it could be built. Within the mint itself, pressure hardened into conflict. Robert Scott, responsible for engraving, faced criticism for both artistic execution and durability of dies. The flowing hair design, though symbolically potent, proved difficult to strike cleanly. High relief required greater force, accelerating die wear and increasing failure rates. Each broken die halted production, inviting further criticism. Administrative strain deepened when the mint's accounting revealed losses on silver dollars. The cost of production often exceeded face value, particularly when silver prices fluctuated. This reality collided with Hamilton's broader financial strategy, which relied on confidence and fiscal discipline. A coin that cost more to produce than it was worth undermined the very argument for national coinage. Congressional patience thinned. Hearings questioned mint operations. Reforms were proposed. Oversight tightened. The silver dollar, once envisioned as a stabilizing anchor, now appeared as a destabilizing liability. The flowing hair dollar's role shifted from symbol of unity to focal point of frustration. Meanwhile, circulation remained limited. Many of the $1794 never traveled far from Philadelphia. Merchants often preferred familiar foreign coinage, trusting centuries of consistent weight over a fledgling federal promise. Some flowing hair dollars were hoarded immediately, not for sentiment, but for uncertainty. New coins were risky assets in an untested system. The mint responded with adjustments, but each adjustment carried consequences. Lowering relief could improve strike quality, but diluted artistic intent. Altering weight risked rejection by merchants. Increasing output without addressing inefficiencies would magnify losses. Every solution introduced new trade-offs, and the margin for error narrowed. Hamilton, watching from the Treasury, faced a dilemma. Persisting with the flowing hair dollar risked political capital. Abandoning it risked signaling weakness. The decision could not be framed publicly as retreat. It had to appear as refinement. Progress, not failure. By 1795, the verdict was effectively rendered. The flowing hair design would be replaced. Officially, the change addressed technical and aesthetic concerns. Unofficially, it acknowledged that the first attempt had strained the system beyond tolerance. The draped bust design promised easier striking, longer die life, and a more restrained image of liberty, aligning better with evolving political sensibilities. The flowing hair dollar's production ceased quietly. No proclamation marked its end. No ceremony honored its service. It simply stopped being made. In the records of the mint, it became a closed chapter, superseded by what was framed as improvement, yet the consequences of its brief life lingered. The mint survived, but only after absorbing lessons paid for in criticism and loss. Procedures tightened. Expectations adjusted. The federal government learned that symbolism alone could not sustain trust. Execution mattered as much as intention. For the flowing hair dollar itself, this failure was paradoxical. Its short production run, once a liability, became its defining trait. Scarcity emerged, not by design but by circumstance. Coins that had struggled to gain acceptance now carried the weight of having been first, flawed, and abandoned. Collectors did not yet exist in the modern sense, but awareness grew. Officials retained examples. Merchants set aside particularly well-struck pieces. What had once been suspect became noteworthy. Survival itself conferred value. The political battle moved on, but the dollar remained as residue. It had exposed the limits of federal power while simultaneously affirming its necessity. The mint learned restraint. Congress learned oversight. The nation learned that unity required more than declaration. It required adaptation under pressure. In retrospect, the flowing hair silver dollar did not fail because it was weak. It failed because it arrived too early, demanding trust from a system still learning how to grant it. Its retirement was not an erasure but a concession to timing. That timing would later transform perception. What was once an administrative headache became a foundational artifact. But that transformation lay decades in the future. For now, the flowing hair dollar exited the stage quietly, carrying with it the unresolved tension of a republic still negotiating the meaning of authority, value, and permanence. The flowing hair silver dollar did not immediately become a relic. For years, it lingered in obscurity, passed over by commerce and forgotten by policy. Its power was dormant, not destroyed. Time, however, has a way of reassigning meaning. As the United States matured, expanded, fractured, and rebuilt itself, the earliest artifacts of its financial birth acquired gravity. Among them, the 1794 dollar began to separate itself from mere old silver and drift toward something closer to evidence. By the mid-19th century, numismatics emerged not as nostalgia, but as study. Collectors no longer looked only for metal value. They searched for origin stories, for turning points frozen in alloy. The flowing hair dollar resurfaced in this context as a first principle. It was not simply rare, it was foundational. Its survival rate, already low, continued to shrink as silver was melted, lost, or damaged. Each missing example tightened the circle around those that remained. Condition became destiny. Most surviving flowing hair dollars bore the marks of their difficult birth. Weak strikes, adjustment marks, uneven rims. These were not flaws to early collectors. They were fingerprints of process. Still, a handful stood apart. Coins with sharper detail, better centering, and minimal wear hinted at special handling. These pieces fueled speculation long before they fueled auctions. By the early 20th century, the $1,794 had crossed a threshold. It was no longer merely collectible. It was prestigious. Ownership implied not only wealth, but proximity to the nation's origin. Prominent collectors sought it as a centerpiece, a declaration of seriousness. The coin moved from albums into vaults, from curiosity into asset. Auction houses recognized the shift. The flowing hair dollar began appearing not as a lot among many, but as an event. Its provenance was dissected, traced through estates, collections, and institutions. Each verified ownership chain added narrative weight. The coin's value no longer rested solely on rarity, but on continuity. It had endured. One of the most consequential moments arrived in 2013, when a 1794 flowing hair silver dollar graded specimen 66 by PCGs crossed the auction block at stacked S. Bowers galleries. The hammer fell at over $10 million, setting a record for the most expensive coin ever sold at public auction at that time. The price stunned even seasoned observers, not because of speculation, but because of consensus. Multiple bidders agreed, implicitly, that this coin represented something irreplaceable. That particular specimen carried an argument with it. Some scholars believed it to be the very first silver dollar struck by the United States Mint, possibly produced as a presentation piece. Its exceptional strike quality, mirrored fields, and careful preservation suggested intent beyond circulation. Whether or not it was the literal first, the market treated it as symbolic first. Symbol, at that level, converts directly into value. Earlier sales had paved the way. In 1984, the same coin sold for just over $264,000, already an impressive sum for the era. By 2010, it realized $7.85 million in a private transaction before re-emerging publicly. Each sale recalibrated expectations, proving that value escalation was not hype-driven but cumulative, built on decades of reassessment. Other flowing hair dollars followed. In 2022, a separate example graded MS-64 sold for over $6 million. Though not as pristine, it carried its own gravity. It confirmed that the market did not revolve around a single outlier. The type itself had ascended. Even lower-grade examples, once attainable to advanced collectors, moved into seven-figure territory, effectively removing them from all but institutional or elite private ownership. Private sales told similar stories. High-net-worth collectors quietly competed for opportunities to acquire any authentic $1,794, often through brokers rather than auctions. Discretion became part of the process. These transactions reinforce scarcity not as an abstract concept, but as lived reality. When an object stops appearing publicly, its mystique compounds. The consequences rippled outward. Museums recontextualized their holdings. The Smithsonian's example gained prominence not as an old coin, but as a national artifact. Educational narratives shifted, emphasizing not just design and denomination, but political risk and administrative failure. The flowing hair dollar was no longer framed as a success story, but as an instructive one. For collectors, the coin became a measuring stick. Entire collections were evaluated by their relationship to it. Even those who could never hope to own one engaged with it indirectly, through typesets, reproductions, and scholarship. The flowing hair dollar anchored the hierarchy of American coinage, defining the upper limit of aspiration. Its legacy also reshaped how early U.S. coins were understood. The market began rewarding context over condition alone. Coins once dismissed for technical shortcomings gained respect for historical positioning. The idea that perfection was the ultimate goal softened, replaced by appreciation for struggle and transition. The flowing hair dollar led that beyond numismatics. The coin entered broader conversations about wealth preservation. It demonstrated that value could be stored not just in commodities or equities, but in narrative-rich objects immune to replication. No future mint could recreate 1794. Scarcity here was absolute, not engineered. That distinction attracted capital seeking insulation from volatility. Yet the coin's meaning remained tethered to its origin. Every auction catalog returned to the same tension. A fragile republic attempting to assert itself through metal. The failures that once undermined the flowing hair dollar became the very reasons it mattered. It was not polished confidence. it was exposed ambition. In that way, the coin never stopped doing its original job. It continued to test belief, first in commerce, then in collecting, then in valuation. Each era answered differently, but always seriously. The flowing hair silver dollar demanded engagement, not passive admiration. As time advances, the number of surviving examples will not increase. Their stories will not reset. If anything, they will concentrate further, accumulating layers of interpretation. New collectors will encounter the coin not firsthand, but through records of record-breaking sales and institutional displays. Distance will only amplify significance. The flowing hair dollar's final legacy is restraint. It teaches that beginnings are rarely clean, that authority is negotiated, and that failure can be formative rather than fatal. The United States did not perfect its money in 1794. It revealed its willingness to try, adjust, and endure scrutiny. That willingness, struck imperfectly into silver, outlasted the coin's circulation and redefined its worth. Today, when one of these dollars surfaces, it does not whisper. It commands attention, not because of shine alone, but because it carries unresolved questions that still resonate. What gives value legitimacy? Who decides trust? How impersonal imperfection can a system absorb before it collapses or adapts? Those questions are still alive. The flowing hair silver dollar simply asked them first. This story, preserved in silver and consequence, is brought to you by USA Coins History. If you value these deep explorations into American money, power, and legacy, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with fellow collectors, and leave a comment with the coin or ERA you want explored next.